your moderator, Johanna Jones, President and CEO of Information Technology Senior Management Forum, a proud partner of WBC. And I am joined by three powerful, dynamic women today. Jennifer Bryant, Senior Director, Chief of Staff, Associate Experience and Engagement at Capital One. Jennifer Jones, USLI Chief Operating Officer, Genworth Financial, and Johanna Rubin-Berman, Regional Head of HR Shared Services for Munich Reinsurance Group. So today you have the pleasure of four powerful leaders whose names all begin with J and have a lot of wisdom and experience. So we can't help but have a wonderful session, right, ladies? Absolutely. So my first question is about recruiting and attracting the best and the brightest talent. I will start with Jennifer Jones and then Jennifer Bryant for this question. So the National Center for Women in Information Technology reports that there will be an expected 3.8 million computing-related jobs by 2032, but there will only be enough graduates for about 18% of these positions. Currently, women in technology in the workforce represent only 27% of computing jobs. So how are you attracting the best and the brightest women in technology?
All right, well, thanks, Johanna, and good afternoon to everyone. I'll start just giving you a little bit of background and context on where we're at from a technology standpoint. And earlier this year, I moved over and took an expanded role leading technology, really looking at how we can modernize a lot of our legacy technologies to take advantage of many advancements that we're seeing in this space, looking at how we can further business value. And one of the first steps I did was to actually look at our talent models and found that only about 30% of our workers are even employees. And more specifically, as I look at my technology direct reports and their direct reports, there's only a handful of women in addition to me, which further reiterates some of your points. But overall, we've been heavily reliant on both outsourcing and offshoring. So over the next several months, we're really looking to take on a transformation and rebuild a lot of that in-house talent, which opens the door for us to be able to attract a much more balanced and diverse mix of talent, which includes women. You know, I do feel that my move into this role is one step, but also looking to be able to capitalize on a lot of the broader programs that our organization as a whole has taken on to really look at hiring diverse talent. So I'll give you a couple examples, things that we're doing as an enterprise that we hope to bring to technology.
Absolutely.
So wonderful. So one is some of the work that we do with our ERGs. We have around 13 as an organization, including one that's focused specifically on women in technology. So that not only supports our internal talent, but also connects us with the external technology community. So it's projects, it's conferences, and we're really looking to tap into that group to how we can start building out our brand as a technology leader. We also partner with specific colleges and professional organizations and networks, which are able to, tap into more diverse talent. We've seen good success with our internship programs. It allows us to bring people in early in their career. And underlying it all, I would say I also get very good support from our people analytics team. So we're able to measure the work that we're doing. We're able to develop specific strategies around it and then measure those results and see how we're doing. But again, looking to bring some of those enterprise-wide practices to a function that historically has been heavily outsourced.
Thank you so much. Jen Bryant, how are you attracting the best and brightest women?
Absolutely. So to add to what Jennifer has said is that Capital One also has a variety of ways to build an inclusive culture for women. And some of those include some of our business resource groups, women in tech. We have a women in tech as well. We have a women in cyber, and we have cyber women of color. The other piece that we're doing, we have a tech inclusive language work group. where we're making sure that we're showing up in inclusive languages for our job announcements. That's one of our focus areas for this year. We're trying to look at and address where there may potentially be barriers for getting our women in the door. The other piece, too, in terms of attracting and retaining, we also extend opportunities for our women to participate in groups such as Executive Women Forum, ITSMF, right? So we have several ways, and going back to the business resource groups, we also have groups where there may be intersectionality going on, Hispanics in tech. We have Blacks in tech. So there are different ways in which people can see themselves and see their identity. That's one. And then the other piece we go out to our HBCUs to take a look at to attract our we call them cybersecurity development program interns, as well as our technical interns. So there are various ways we build an inclusive workplace to attract and retain our women. And I won't belabor that point.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing such powerful examples. Johanna, the next question is about developing talent from within. And both Jen Bryant and Jennifer Jones shared example of attracting, but really creating inclusivity, belonging, and ensuring retention. Can you share some of your best practice examples of how women are developed within your organization?
So I think a couple of things that have been really important here at Munich Re has been embedding the drive to have more women in our organization and leadership roles started at the top of the house, which I think was really important. Without that support, no other programs really can truly be successful without that buy-in. But the company has really done, and again, while I'm in human resources, I'm on the operational and technology side, but I'm really proud to say that our company and the folks on our team who lead our DEI movements have really done some terrific jobs with our ERGs, promoting and developing folks through that avenue. We've looked at, as we are doing succession and talent, there's a very purposeful drive to look at where we have women and persons of color for opportunities, all of those things combined. We've also looked for different partnerships and opportunities to share our success stories and really highlight women. So those are some of the things that at Munich Re, even our high potential programs now are looking to say, how can we make sure those programs include a very diverse group and talent? The other things that they're also looking to do, and really I think they've been, really just, super successful at, is even starting with the interviewing. We now have diverse interview panels, really for making sure that those panels are also looking to say, are we bringing not the right person and the best person for the job, but when we find that top talent, how are we making sure that it is diverse for persons of color and women? And I think the group has done a really terrific job over the last few years focusing on that.
Wonderful examples. You all are both sharing some powerful opportunities of how women are attracted and developed. And all three organizations seem like great places to work. Who's hiring right now for those who might be looking for jobs at this moment, or any of your organizations?
Everyone, cyber, we're always hiring. Like the enterprise itself is always hiring. We have over 56,000 or 55,000 associates, but in cyber, we're an organization of 1,100. We're always looking for fresh new talent.
Okay, all right. What about you, Johanna?
So we are, and I think one of the interesting things about Munich Re is because we are a global company, not only are there opportunities right here in the United States, we truly have opportunities around the globe. And so anyone interested in expanding their horizons internationally, there's some really terrific opportunities.
Fantastic. And Jennifer Jones?
Yeah, so while we are a much smaller scale than perhaps Capital One or Munich, we are looking to open a number of new technology roles later this year and early next year. And what I will say is we are a very purpose-driven culture and really looking to bring in people that not only have the technical talent that we're looking for, but also, we're really committed to a bigger purpose. And I think that says a lot about our employees and our organization. And so, very interested to talk more, offline about some of those opportunities if someone is looking.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. I'd like to talk a little bit now about roles and opportunities within our respective communities to strengthen inclusion. Each of you have shared some examples of that in terms of your ERGs and support coming from leadership. But let's poke a little bit more about that. 27% of that 27% of IT roles that are held by women, when you drill down to look at women of color, Asian Pacific Islander, Black, Latinx women, we find only 7% of IT roles are held by women with backgrounds of Asian Pacific Islander, 3% Black women, and 2% Latinx. What role, I'll start with Johanna Rubin-Berman, what role should allies play in terms of advocacy, sponsorship, and supporting the advancement of women of color in tech?
So for me personally, I see our role as being champions, and champions come in many different forms. I can be a mentor. Any of us can, right? I think we've also had experiences throughout our career, no matter what my makeup may be, of, male-dominated industries, and how do you, progress through those? And all of those experiences lend themselves to other folks who are in a similar position and as they're entering their career. I think making connections. How can I be a good networker to get you connected with the right people? Because let's face it, a lot of times how I progress in my career is what I know, but also who I know, and they know me, and someone is my advocate and speaking on my behalf. And you can do a lot of that. Influencing, a lot of times sitting in meetings with other leaders and just pointing out where maybe old ways of thinking should be changed and challenged, because it's in those moments when someone has made a comment that you can be most impactful versus a speech where to a large audience. Those are really personal and impactful moments. So I think we all need to speak up in opportunities where those rooms. And I personally, looking for stretch opportunities for my peers, if I'm seeing someone and I know someone is looking for career development and they have a really strong background to get ahead, where can I connect them to say, this might be a really good stretch assignment for you, a great project. I know it's out of your comfort zone a bit, but this will get you some great experience and some great exposure. So those are the types of things I think we can do. And making sure people are excited about technology. Maybe have some good leadership opportunities, but I didn't know. I think Jennifer, good example. I could also take my skills to technology as a woman or a person, and you can expand your skills. So how do we open up those opportunities?
Thank you so much. Great responses. Okay, Jennifer Jones, what's the role of allies?
Yeah, so I'll just start with that. I've had the honor of working at a company that really puts DE&I at the forefront of all our decision making, and I think it really starts with top-down sponsorship. So I have learned a lot of what I speak about today directly from our CEO. It is something that he has felt strongly about his entire career, and that trickles down to our executive council, that trickles down to our board. It has become a part of who we are as an organization. And we've invested a lot of time in training our associates, and I think a lot of this starts with awareness. And so probably have some similar thoughts as to Johanna, that for me, I'm always thinking about how can I be that sponsor? How can I be that voice? And the great thing about sponsorship is you can stretch across multiple people. You can sponsor groups of people. It doesn't have to just be a one-to-one mentor relationship. And so it really is about finding that voice for those that may not have it, whether it's a talent review, whether it's promotion opportunities. But I do think a lot of it starts with with education, with awareness, and with sponsorship from the top. And I will tell you that has made a tremendous difference for our organization to have that support, because for me, then in many ways I can execute against that in a very supportive environment. And I appreciate not everyone has that, but I do think that the more that it can come, from multiple directions, the more successful we'll be in making a difference.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Johanna, can I add a couple of
Yes,
points
yes,
to that?
yes. I see your head nodding.
I was
Yes,
like, yes, yes,
yes,
yes. I'm over here like cheering. So because I could identify with what both the speakers have said. And I will say Capital One in general, they have a allyship business resource group. There is differential programs that's called ABLE, and that's for advancing Black and Latins. And then within cyber, we have focused on cyber allyship. We have support from the top, which Joanna mentioned in terms of one of our focus areas. And what does cyber allyship mean? We are stepping out there, and for the past 3 years, we had cyber allyship symposiums where
wow.
we are bringing in speakers to talk about different topics such as artificial intelligence. We've brought in folks to talk about what does allyship mean to them. And then we're doubling down and making sure that our allies are showing up during that week, either through a blog or some other panel discussion or some other format. And then we have Cyber Allyship 365. And once a quarter, we're focusing on a topic at a time. And for example, neurodiversity. So there's definitely a focus on allyship.
Powerful, powerful examples. Thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit about why these barriers still exist for women and women of color. From your perspective, why, despite the progress, despite the talent, despite the educational opportunities, why is there a lag? Why are we only seeing 27% of women in computing jobs, and why are the numbers for women of color in computing so low? Let's poke a little bit at these barriers in hopes that your responses will trigger someone who's listening to address these barriers within their own organizations. What are the barriers? And I will start with Jennifer Jones.
Sure. And I'll maybe start with just where I see us at specifically in technology in our organization. It may not apply everywhere, but we've had such a heavy reliance on offshoring that there have been very just limited opportunities. And so for as much focus and as much progress and success that I would say we've had in other functions, it's been very limiting in technology specifically because of decisions made historically to send jobs offshore. And so for me, it's really looking at how do we change the mentality around technology roles overall, and then really being able to start recruiting the talent that supports that. So we firmly believe as an organization that our people are our greatest assets and that good ideas come from everywhere, and that the more we can bring that diverse experience to the table, the more innovation we will get. However, that changes or that starts going back to where we started of being able to recruit the right talent. And so again, I think that's not the only reason. They're one of many barriers, but again, we haven't even created those opportunities because of our staffing mentality. So being able to shift that and be able to create new opportunities, I think will open more doors.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Jen Bryant.
So I'm just going to name the thing. I'm just going to call it out. We need sponsorship. So throughout my last I'm just going to say throughout my 37-year career, I've had sponsors, I've had allies, I had champions, I had those, as Joanna mentioned my name in a room or tap me on the shoulder and said, hey, I have an opportunity for you to lead this business resource group of 24,000 women, and it'll give you the visibility in because and then I've also I lead a cyber women of color. And what I find as the barrier is that they don't have anyone to sponsor them. They don't
Yes.
have anyone to encourage and motivate them to speak up and
Yes.
say what they need. And then it's been my job over the last 5 years to give them visibility. And so that's what's needed is the sponsorship, the championship, the opportunity, sitting down with them and helping them think through what should their career path be, getting them mentors as well, one to one as well as group, as I mentioned, the cyber women of color. That's what I've seen, and that's what I've been able to have the blessing gift of having our mentors and sponsors who said my name in a room and provided opportunities. And that's what we need. Women of color.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Jen, follow-up question on that. So there is a woman in tech who's listening right now, and she's saying, okay, how do I secure that sponsor that is willing to support me? And do they need to look like me?
They do not need to look like you. And this is part of kind of stepping out of your comfort zone. If you see someone who potentially is working a project or working in an area of focus that you desire to eventually get into or have more interest, set up a 15-minute coffee chat. Connect with them to say, I'm interested in doing XYZ, whatever that may be. If they know of any opportunities, they might not have opportunities, but ask them, do they know of anyone who has opportunities? And maybe they can set that up. Not only just that, ask about what training is needed to develop yourself in that area. And please be open to feedback. And, so you can continue to learn. Don't take it personally, right? Don't take it personally. See it from the lens of this is developing me. And I followed these steps, and it has helped me tremendously throughout my 37 years.
And Jen, if I could just add one
Yes.
point to that. I think it's also is having confidence too. That's when I talk to, when I interview often, women versus men. A lot of times when I will speak with women, they will not have as much confidence in their own qualifications. They see things in a different light. And so I think it's also making sure you don't walk away from a job because you feel you may not meet every point on that job description. Have a conversation, whether it's with the hiring manager, whether it's with a sponsor, but some of it is also knowing that, it's that self-confidence too, that you are deserve to be in that seat.
Absolutely, because I know that 60% was the data. 60% of the men, if they have 60% of the qualification, they apply and they'll walk in. Yes, I qualify. Yes, and women, we feel like we need to have 100%. So agreed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Johanna, Rubin-Berman, I know that you have a lot of experience in sponsorship, and I'm sure that women come to you all of the time seeking support. What do you have to add to this? And in particular, what advice do you have to get rid of that imposter syndrome that I hate to even call it out and name it, but unfortunately we see that this is still an obstacle for us despite our achievements and our education and our talent. We're still experiencing this.
So maybe I'll tell a story of there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I'll share a brief story. 30 some odd years ago, very young, starting my career in banking, human resources technology. And as I quickly moved up very fast into leadership, I'm invited to various senior leadership meetings and banking events. And as I'm socializing and interacting, I realize everyone in the room looks like my dad and my granddad. Wow. And I immediately think, how do I overcome this challenge? How do I continue to advance my career? And I sought out in this network of bankers a more mature woman who had been an executive in banking for many years and said, how did you get to your job? And her answer was, do not give up hope. Continue to work with people like me to find ways to network, overcome those challenges. And she said, and every time you make a step ahead, you're making it for everyone behind you because you're opening up the world to them too. And I thought, how powerful is this? And I did it. And I still feel this application today is, who can I help? So if people come and ask, how can you sponsor me? How can you network my career? How can you help me find opportunities? Always willing to do that. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, and banking is not just the old white man who looked like my dad and my granddad anymore. So I will leave you with that.
Powerful example. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's Maya Angelou who said, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. And that is exactly what WBC is all about, is the power of community. So thank you so much for sharing that. And my next question is about culture. And I know that each of you have already shared really great examples of what you're doing within your organization. But we also know that even once women secure roles in tech, their tech tends to be a very leaky pipeline for women employees. And there are reasons that are cited in studies, included a 2024 Women in Tech survey, said that 72% of women reported experiencing a very prevalent bro culture at work. And not just bro culture in terms of representation, but microaggressions, including speaking, being over talked in meetings, and asked to supply food or do tasks that were not related to their job, or they're not recognized as leaders. Other research quantifies that women, no matter their seniority, are often treated like junior level workers and receive less support, some laid off more frequently, promoted less often. So I'd like for each of you to share what you are doing in your organizations, other than what you shared already, to address culture. How do we create these thriving cultures where all people can succeed and women feel supported and stay? Jen Bryant.
You see, I was anxious. I was like, oh, I hope she picks me first. I hope she picks me first. I will say that we've done a couple of things within our organization, which includes establishing meeting norms. That may sound simple, but it is incredibly powerful because we are using our raise hand features in meetings to make sure folks aren't talking over another. We've also given training on how you can call a person in and versus how you can call them out if you find that folks are talking over folks, bullying other folks in meetings, not allowing the space for that. The other piece is that we've developed certain facilitation techniques, round robin, we may all be familiar with, but I also have implemented the 3 Ps, and you may say, well, what are the 3 Ps? The 3 Ps consist of, as you are going around the room to ensure all voices are met in the room, you can ask the individual if they want to pass, if they want to pause to think, or if they want to present what they're thinking of. So those are ways, and then as well as allies speaking up for other women to make sure our voices are in the room.
Powerful. 3 Ps. Okay, I am adding that to my toolkit. So we have just 2 minutes, but Jennifer Jones, please share your thoughts on culture setting.
Sure, I'll be quick. I'll add on one thing to what Jen Bryant said, which is we've been doing a lot of training with our leadership team on inquiry versus advocacy. So making the space to ask questions. So for example, if I said to you, Johanna, tell me what if I said, how would you approach this, or how does it impact your function, versus just saying, this is what I want to do you agree? It changes the tone. We've also been focusing on the most senior person in the room speaking last. So I'll leave it there, just for the sake of time, but a lot of it centers around listening and creating that safe environment for where more voices get heard, making for better outcomes.
Absolutely. And Johanna, anything to add in 30 seconds?
Yeah, I'll echo a lot of what was said already by Jen and Jennifer, but I'll only add quickly some different things. We're also doing education and awareness at the most senior levels. It's
Yes.
not just about these, it's at the senior levels. And I think our company also, and again, I'll shout out to our DEI team, did an excellent job on a lot of training with microaggressions and things to make us more aware. Because some people, it is not intentional, it is lack of awareness and being self-aware of how I'm presenting myself and treating others.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and everyone have a fantastic rest of your day and enjoy the rest of the sessions.